Almost 10,000 brought me two just super obvious trades, which I want to tell you about in this video. Every day in my Signal channel I publish setups from which I personally trade, and there are some setups that make my hair stand on end. I will show you a couple of jewelry entry and exit points in this video and explain how I did it. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe to my channel from the link in the description, because it is a crime to miss such signals, and even for free. Let's go straight to the analysis of the trades which brought me a lot of profit. Specifically, the trade which we are going to consider now brought me more than 5,000. And in fact, it was very simple. It can be repeated by any of you. In order to make the picture on your chart clear, we will add the LuxAlgo Smart Money Concept indicator from the indicators panel on TradingView. This is how the chart looks like without this indicator, and this is how it looks like with this indicator. If you don't understand anything, I will explain to you now. Let's start perhaps with the structure. Let's highlight it on the chart right away. We have here an example of a good ascending structure, which should be understood by every person who understands how the price moves in the stock market. And many traders becomes hostages to all kinds of video training because the structures are often false. What I mean is that we have a classical upward movement. Here we have the first wave of the correction, we have the second wave of the correction, the third wave of the correction, the fourth wave, and again correction. According to the smart money concept, the maximums should be constantly updated as well as the minimums. So the breakdown of the structure occurs at that moment when the minimum is updated. So in this case, the direction of the trend will change. But the obligatory condition from this correction, in order to confirm it, should be that the previous maximum should also be updated. So the situation when we have such a movement, it will not be a breakdown of the structure because the previous top has not been updated, and accordingly this minimum value is not valid. A lot of traders can get caught on this, therefore always pay your attention that we will have a validated correction only when a new wave, ascending or descending, will update the previous maximum after this correction. The previous maximum is labeled as boss, so here is the first boss, here we have the second boss, and all of them have been updated, and that's why these minimums, this one and this one, they have been confirmed. What do we have going on specifically in this example? Let's take a look at it, and it will help us understand our future trade. We have a confirmed minimum, which is at this mark. It is confirmed, as I said earlier, because from here we had an upward movement which updates the previous boss. So this is basically our minimum value. Let's mark it with a horizontal line. Here we have the minimum value which we have updated, and for many traders it looks like a breakdown in the structure. I mean a change of the trend. That is exactly in this place. A huge number of traders 100% went down because the trend changed, and it was a very obvious situation here. Besides, there was an imbalance at the bottom which had to be covered. In general, there was a lot of liquidity at the bottom, and I'm sure that a huge number of traders went into short positions. But the price then makes a false movement and goes up, forming a new growth wave, and now this minimum becomes confirmed. We see the same thing in this situation. I found it not at once, but I liked it very much. I strictly decided to go long here because we have a huge amount of stop losses accumulated here, and there was one very important moment that helped me to make a decision. It was the removal of all these stops. In fact, we have a trends breakdown right now. It can tell us that traders are going into short because we updated the minimum value, because this is the structure, this is the upward movement correction. Here we update this boss, even if it is a shadow, and after that we confirm this minimum and we expect a short movement here. But after such a beautiful candle, I decide to put a limit order here. I think that 100% we will come back to test this zone again. Of course, we will have a target of updating the boss equals 20 or 50, and we will put a stop loss at the level of this candle. I mean at the level of the shadow of the candle, because if we go lower, then the whole logic of my movement will be completely lost, so the point of the trade will be lost. Let's see how this trade works out. It works itself out very quickly. We touch the upper boundary of the channel, and then at the gold the trend movement occurs, and we go towards 3000. This trade was in my channel, to which you can subscribe to absolutely for free. Here is the setup we have an entry, we have a clear stop and takeouts preceded. On this trade I earned 5,400, but this is largely due to the fact that I moved my take to the zone of 2060 at the moment when I was close to reach to my first take. Let's open up the MetaTrader's terminal and take another look at this trade. This is a position that brought me 5,400 in profit. Well, the next trade is very cool. I want to show it to you. This is how the signal looked like in our group. Now let's look at the chart globally and see what we have here. First, we have a clear target in the form of liquidity at the bottom. Here we'll automatically have a buying limit. Why buying? Because we have already had a breakdown of the structure due to the fact that we had a confirmed minimum, because this wave has updated the previous maximum, from which in fact there was a correction. Here we had a correction and then we have an upward movement. Then we have another correction, then we have another upward movement, and here we have a breakdown of the structure, specifically in this place. But since after that we had another wave of growth and after that we had another correction, which turned out to be lower than this confirmed minimum is, then our zone of interest moves right here. Let's add an additional horizontal line here. Well, the movement itself started from here, so we also have liquidity here, but since this is the starting point of our upward sideways movement, our trade is completely cancelled here because I want to put the limit, let's say here, for the updating of this minimum. And my stop will stand here, because if we go lower, we will generally get out of the sideways movement and my trade will lose any sense. Take we will of course put on the updating of this local maximum. I think that at this zone we have a lot of people tried to open short positions. Maybe they succeeded very well. I count that at least on the fact that the stock market will come at least to this area back to remove the stops. So we got such a signal, but I made a more modest target. Let's see what happened with this trade. Here we have a limit and it worked itself just perfect. Look how cool and fast we did it, because this is a 5-minute time frame. The execution was literally within 1 hour. As I said it earlier, we didn't reach the minimum, and that's right. We went a little bit deeper than I thought. I think that the movement will be like this, but we were lucky to some extent, and we were also lucky that after that we immediately started an aggressive growth. We have updated the maximum data, and then what is happening is happening. By the way, I earned 4,500 on this trade. I also published the result in my free signal channel at the link from the description. Let's take a look at this trade in the terminal of TradingView. Here we had 2 all positions, but the second position will be analyzed in the next video, and the trade that brought us 4,500 profit is on your screen. I hope this video was useful. I remind you that the most important thing is to understand how the stock market works, how it moves, because understanding the logic of price movement is much more important than learning smart money, technical analysis, adding plenty of indicators, and so on. Focus on those things that really brings you result. Thank you for watching. Bye everyone.